Namaste, beloveds. This is Valerie Ames, aka Mother with Wisdom, aka Ocean 9. This is a very deep show, broadcast, transmission, download, video, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me for fidgeting, trying to ground myself. This is like my fourth time um, beginning this video, and there is a lot that needs to come through and come forward at this time. Um, I'm going to title this particular video Blood of My Blood simply because I am, how can I put this? I am consciously more aware of certain frequencies that are needing to, for me to be consciously aware of the messages, the signs, the signals um, that are being given and that are being received by me at the same time. I'm very aware right now of the multiverses that are merging, and for many, that word multiverse will mean timelines and frequencies, vibrations. It'll also mean an integrating of many different frameworks of previous known knowledge and information that has been shared and given throughout the centuries. The blood of my blood piece is coming in very deeply from my Native American ancestry, and blood of my blood was actually a title of a book I have been in the process of writing for over some 20 years now. And it is a journey within itself, in that it has taught me how to be still enough to see the many different things that are taking place in this now moment that have already been and that will be. I'll put it that way. And being able to not freak myself out, I'll put it like that. And I'll say not freak myself out just based on my own spiritual foundation this lifetime, this time around. So just bear with me, beloveds. Let me once again kind of get myself to that place where I need to be for this to flow without me putting the Flintstone brakes on it, or restraining it or restricting it in any way, because that's not what I want to do. So, once again, give me a moment and we will go from there. Let me share a little bit about my Native American history. I am Chickamauga, Cherokee, and Creek on my mother's side. And from what I understand, that goes, there's a deep connection with the Seminole tribes in Florida. And that the latest storm has stirred, reawoken, resurrected many frequencies that are needed and that have been awaiting this particular moment in time to reactivate certain things in our DNA. Another thing that I've been told to make clear is that the understanding of in a sense of conscious awareness, the statement was this: the pen is mightier than the sword. The spiritual pen is mightier than the sword. And in breaking that down, I want to go into understanding this. When we incarnate into this physical form, we are incarnated with a blueprint and a download of genetic codes, genetic programming, predispositions, and instinct and intuition to guide us and to help us navigate our choices and decisions. And we are influenced by our will and our passions and our desires. And having stated that, that is what has been spiritually written. Now, where the pen is mightier than the sword comes in is that man creates swords. Human beings create swords. Swords are words. Swords are tongues spoken, ideas, principles, ideologies. And those ideologies, those principles, those words, those ideas often are in complete contrast and are oftentimes antagonistic and at war with what has been written within us, which we incarnated with, which we were born with, which has been conditioned due to the sword. And we have become so fearful of the sword that we have given it more authority. We have made it law. We have made human logic law over the divine blueprint of who we are, which we incarnated into. The whole creation of what a human being is was designed by wisdom, was encoded by wisdom, was mapped out grid by grid, said cell by cell, tissue by tissue, organ by organ. It is not some random occurrence. In getting back to knowing ourselves, we have to turn within. That means we have to see with our third eye and not with our two physical eyes, which can only look at something. That third eye is the eye that sees. It sees and observes and records. That is where your memories come from. These two eyes, they look, they take pictures. There is no other deeper than just the sight. That is the lens. That third eye is the eye that observes, connects everything, integrates everything, and gives you the truth of where you should act, what you should believe, what you should trust. That is why they say, don't believe what you see, but trust what you know through that third eye. The sword and the pen are at war with each other. And when you understand once again what that sword and what that pen, that spiritual pen, that they are tools of creation and tools of destruction, tools of battle, tools of invitation. And beloveds, it is up to the human being to decide if their conscious awareness is going to be used for the purpose of designing, of creating, of building up, of replicating what is known instinctively and intuitively that has incarnated with us into this world, or if we are going to disregard that way of being ourselves, that way of knowing ourselves, and only recognizing what has been conditioned, the self that has been conditioned, the self that was named, the self that was given a birth date, the self that was told it is belongs to this culture, to this race, it is this size, it is this personality, it is this IQ number, it is this weight, it is this height, it is fits in this box, it looks like this, and it acts like that, and it's worth this month based upon where it came from and how it acts and reacts and what its potential is stereotypically. That's all kind of labels and limitations and boxes. That's that sword that regulates, cuts, and measures, that detracts, that does not add to, that does not allow for expansion, but only for subtraction and division. That's universal mathematical terms, which is also present when you look at what blood is actually made of. Why they keep wanting me to go on and on and on about blood, it'll come, and I'll share it when it does. But right now, I'm noticing that they want you to understand the elements that are within the blood, the water, the oxygen, understand the element of plasma and the coagulation thereof, and also understand Heme, which is the iron, which is gives the blood its colors or its a mineral presence. And this is going so deep, and I don't want to give you every little detail that I'm being given. I want to make it so it's palatable and it's graspable and it's easy to listen to, and not just me sitting up here babbling. So let me rein that part in that likes to break down things. Let me rein that in just a little bit, and um, get back to the blood of my blood and understanding what is rising up in each of us, no matter what color we are, no matter what country we're from, no matter what gender we perceive ourselves to be, we have a commonality. And that commonality is the element or the substance known as human blood within each of us. And there are different types of blood, but it's all blood. And blood is life. And without the blood, there is no life. And we need to start paying more attention to what gives, what sustains existence, what sustains and nourishes life, what adds to life, what allows life to expand, to replicate, to multiply, because that was the only command that was given in the Bible, was to multiply. And we have to understand what we are allowing to multiply or to be manifested into this world, and to understand that whatever we see as individuals is what we get as a collective as well. We need to get back into the correlations and the seemingly the views, the perceptions of existence, the views and perceptions of life from a spiritual, conscious awareness, as well as a human, logical, conscious awareness of life, existence. And we need to understand that that is the duality. Existence itself is not about duality. Duality comes in when you separate the spiritual being that incarnated with the physical being that was born. That's duality. When you don't understand that which incarnated has no birth date, will never die, its energy has no form, has no sex, has no ancestors. It is what it is. And it is wisdom, divine wisdom. There is nothing higher. There is no higher frequency. It creates. It is the womb of all possibilities, of all and nothing, at the same time. And we are not separated from it when we take on form and when we're given names and when we're told that you came through this ancestral line. And that when you're born female, you carry within you generations forward. Again, I'm being redirected to the sword. And a lot of this is going to be based on the Bible, beloveds. And like I said, as I began this, and you might have to pick through it and rewind it, and because I didn't write it down, so it's not really flowing and coherent. But everything that is coming up naturally, like a spring, like a well. It is flowing, and it is all connected. Um, beating your swords into plowshares. Beating your swords into plowshares. Remember again what swords are representing. Swords are the words. Swords are the ideas, the principles, the ideologies that have been ruling man. They are man-made laws. They are man-made understandings. They are man-made ideologies, religions, doctrines, laws that govern and that dictate and that guide and that lead. And what you're being told, what I'm being shown, is that when you beat these things, these swords, into plowshares, plowshares, that which digs for knowledge, that which digs and allows seeds to be planted, that which furrows, that which has intercourse with the ground, that which merges itself with something else. When you understand the two opposites of the sword and of the plowshare, you understand that both are tools, but both are used for very different things. One is to wage war, the other is to feed, to till the land, to care for it, to overturn dirt, the earth, which is very much like the upkeep of the womb. When a woman has a period, that's the uterine the uterine lining shedding, so that life can have a nice home if pregnancy conception takes place. So it is preparation for life, for more existence. It is not the ending of life. Another thing that came up is the Egyptian scarab beetle, the dung beetle. Um, first being last, the last being first. Um, I was told, and this is going to sound really kind of weird, but I'm just going to put it out there and I'm going to be following it as soon as I'm able to get all the ingredients, which I'm going to put effort into doing. But I was told that we do everything lately. We're finding out the power of doing things as a collective rather than just doing it individually. That when we come together and we gather and we set our intents as one for one desired outcome, there's great power in that. There's great power in that. There's power. The individual is empowered. The frequency of the energy is empowered. And the collective itself is empowered. What I was being given to me is that our energy as a collective, as a I'm just gonna go with how it's being given to me. The Piscean age is gone. We're entering into a new era. And beloveds, do your due diligence, your own research on this. But as an adult, you still have fecal matter inside of your body, inside of your intestines, that was present when you were a child, when you were newborn. I want you to think of the 2 deaths that have occurred lately, the different spectrums that they're on. And that is Chadwick Boseman and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I really want you to look at the dynamics. And when I say the dynamics, I mean the energy frequencies, the vibrations, what their lives stood for, the words that they spoke, the swords that they chose to weld and use. And I want you to understand what that portion of the body represents, of the human anatomy represents. And I want you to understand what that colon represents metaphysically on a spiritual level when we're talking about spiritual bodies, spiritual function, spiritual design. And I want you to understand it on a biological level. And I want you to understand it on an emotional level. And I want you to understand it on a mental level. And then I want you to understand what cancer is and does to that colon, to that aspect of the body, and what that represents and what that stands for. And I want you to understand, Spirit wants you to understand that humanity right now is so constipated with its own bullshit that it's dying. It's cancerous. It's dying. You see it in the earth. You see it in the animals. You see it in the beings that believe themselves to be elite. How diabolically irresponsible they are. How disconnected from human life they are. How disconnected from existence they are as individuals and as collective. They're constipated with their own bullshit, their own ideologies, their own principles, their own principalities, their own egos, their own addictions, their own obsessions, their own need for a throne of swords, a throne of swords to sit upon. I was told that a global fasting, not fasting, detoxing, or a collective detoxing needs to take place. And I was told prune juice, let me get it right. Prune juice, castor oil, and a little cod liver oil, and a little cayenne pepper. Use it as a detox. And for those who can stand more cayenne, use more cayenne, less dairy. For those who can't stand the cayenne or the spicy, you need to abstain from dairy while you're doing this cleanse, this colon cleanse, this collective cleanse, this energy cleanse, this unconstipating, this getting rid of the old shit. Excuse me for laughing, beloveds, but this is, like I said, it's just it's so personal in so many ways. As a child, the old ones, my mother and her friends in particular, during the changes of season, they would automatically know that it's time to be dosed with castor oil every day or every other day, or time for cod liver oil, or time for different tonics that they would make because the weather was changing. They also, I can remember them giving and taking enemas, which was always flushing you out, flushing out those toxins. And beloved, there is wisdom to that. There is deep wisdom. It goes beyond just the physical. It goes to also to the spiritual. It goes to the flow and circulation of blood. There's a lot that is going on right now that has to really do, we call it our immune system. We look at it through the different systems. And we're realizing how compromised we are based upon the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the foods that we eat. And we don't really take into consideration that our body is the one that digests and filters these things as well. And our bodies does this on a individual and on a collective level. Just as we are finding out that there are certain animals that can help a person to heal, help to calm their nerves, help put them at ease. A lot of things goes into that animal. The worrying, there's a exchange of energy that is always taking place. There's an exchange of energy that goes on with the human body that most are not aware of. We have a magnetic field. We are constantly exchanging energies. We, is what I'm being told, is that we need to remember how to clean ourselves out once again. And that with the cleaning of ourselves out, there is a different circulation. There's an easier circulation. There's a cleaner circulation. So with the cleaner circulation, there's a cleaner reception of energies. There's a deeper resistance to infection and things that tear the body down mentally, physically, spiritually, biologically, emotionally, mentally, because there's a clarity and that there's a sense of health. And okay, what I was just showed, there's an emptiness. There's an emptiness. So, beloveds, this is, like I said, it's very deep. It's very rudimentary. It's very basic on so many levels. But it is something that we have disassociated ourselves from. And it is one of the most basic parts of life. That dung beetle puts her most precious gifts in those pieces of dung. And from that dung, life emerges. New life emerges. Resurrection takes place. So we're being told to look at current events through the lenses of constipation. Human beings being so constipated, with old ideologies, being so constipated, not able to move, having to force what should be natural, having to push and push and push, and nothing is happening. In every question, the answer lies therein. We're being shown so many different things at once. Are we consciously aware of what is being shown to us? Are we consciously aware enough to see our society, our human society, as being constipated, as needing to be flushed, as needing new energy to be put in it, as needing to be emptied? This old way needs to be emptied. All this old bull crap, all these old human regulations and laws about this human being is only this percentage of human being, and they're only relevant based upon this part of their ancestral, and the rest is bullshit. This is the bullshit that needs to be flushed. Flushed from our thoughts, flushed from our beings, purged from our way of existence, because it does not serve life, because it is the sword that is killing us, that we're falling upon. We're killing ourselves. If you don't go poo, you die. You die because of the poisons within you have nowhere to go. You're just a storehouse for waste. As an empath, and as an empath that for 50 something years only knew how to hold on to shit, being given this information, being shown in the manner that I'm being shown, and sharing with you the manner that I'm sharing, is so very personal and profound that it is really blowing my mind, because I was the type of empath that I was told I was, the name for it was a sin eater, and that this was the duty, the ancestral duties of my bloodline, and that I had this ability to absorb pain, sin, shame, hurt in its thought essence. And I would, just like we said, we have the animals, and you stroke the animal and you feel better, and just their presence makes you feel better. And there are human beings like that as well. There are plants like that as well. There are stones, there are trees, there are things in existence that draw negative energies and transmute them. And I was one of those beings. I am one of those beings. And for the longest time, I only knew how to store it. I did not know how to release it. And I stored it as weight. I stored it as fat cells. And at one point, I got up to 600 pounds. I want you to think of what my digestion was and is. And if your blood is so slowed down by the sludge, by the thickness, by the heaviness, by the concentration of all of this negativity, that means your circulation is so poor in your body. And when your circulation is that poor, there is no energy. There is no desire to move. There is pain. There is, your other organs begin to be backed up. Different things start to happen. Different symptoms begin to happen because you are diseased. You are not at ease. Your body is not at ease. Your blood is not able to flow the way it is designed to. And so you are having all these signs and symptoms that something is wrong. And you can go to doctors and sometimes say, oh, you just need to lose weight. Beloveds, I need to let go of the bullshit. I need to release it. I need to flush it down the toilet. I need to move. I need to not be too loose, but I need to flow. And sometimes we take on the stagnation of the world. And if you don't know how to transmute that energy, it turns cancerous. It turns into bitterness. It turns into resentment. It turns into hate. It turns into these idealizations and principles and laws of division. And divisiveness and perversion of existence. Because it's too blocked up, it's too full of shit, too full of waste. What did not work was not let go. It was reworked into something else. Or it was pushed over there. Or it was absorbed over here. It was not excised from the body, from the being, from the nature, from the way of knowing, from the way of being. It was only handed down and passed on. I want you to understand, again, I'm going back to biblical times. Those beings lived hundreds of years before they died. Hundreds of years. Like in more than 100. We look at a person now that if they make it to 100, oh my God, ooh, they made it to 100, yay! Back in biblical days, that would have been a child to them. And they would have told you that it was the way that person was living. What they were thinking killed them. Because by design, we are able to heal ourselves. But we are only able to heal ourselves is when we empty out all of the negative, all of the hate, all of the lies, all of the tension, all of the greed, all of the resentment. When we hold on to these things, when we allow them to continue, that weighs upon our consciousness becomes constipated. I don't know how to put it in no different terms than this. This, again, like I said, it is most basic. I'm going to just pause for a moment because I needed to take a drink of water. Beloveds, let me get back to it. The Jewish New Year has begun. There's a new moon energy going on. In a couple of months, there will be an election of a new president in the United States of America. I need you, Spirit needs you, to be consciously aware. That means to not just to look with your eyes, but to observe from your third eye, from your spiritual insight, instinct, and intuition. Observe, not be attached to anything that you see or hear, not to get emotional. So do not become emotionally invested and involved in the things that you see, because all is passing. All is energy. All will be transformed and redistributed once again. Now, I know that doesn't ease some of the things that we are going to witness. And as beings, we grieve. We are in grieving. We're constipated with grief right now. And I know you're probably saying, Valerie, would you please get off of this constipation thing and look at your big old butt and do. Well, all of this can be said, but beloveds, it's not coming from my butt, okay? It's coming from a higher source. And from that higher source and that higher frequency, there is a saving grace. That existence is extending to your conscious awareness, just as it extended it to my own. Just as it was my decision to get dolled up and deliver this in this manner, although it has taken me days to get here. And I refused to write down things. And so now I'm sitting here in my own discomfort, presenting this in a manner that is less than what it could have been. But there are parts of me, it is what it is, and hey. And this is the struggle of doing spiritually, consciously, what you know but then restricting yourself simply because where is that going? What is on the other side of discomfort? What is on the other side of disease? What is on the other side of constipation? What is on the other side of being empty? What is on the other side of not hurting anymore? What is on the other side of being afraid to love? What is on the other side of limitations and restrictions that you place upon yourself? What is on the other side of not trusting yourself? What is on the other side of being all that you can be? And I'm not talking about being athletic. I'm not talking about being intellectually. I'm talking about spiritually and metaphysically. Not being dominated by fleshly desires, by fleshly thoughts, by conditioned fears that something terrible is going to happen if you allow all of your spiritual gifts to pour forth at one time, at one place, with one intent. When you didn't know no better, and you wished someone dead, or you wished something bad would happen to them, and it did. And you wish other times something good would happen to somebody else, or that they would see something, or that they would know spirit, and it did. We really have to ask ourselves, what, when, why, where, and who stops us from being consciously aware of the genetic imprint, the divine genetic imprint which we incarnated with. Who, what, when, where, why? One word came forth when I asked that. Enslavement. Enslavement. Taking away your freedom. Subtracting, devaluing you, belittling you, reducing you, regulating you, subduing you. And you step back and you say, okay, I were to look from my black ancestry, we were slaves. But before we were slaves, we were royalty. Ah, but yet history says you're nothing, that you were just running around in the jungles naked. But that's not what any of those jungles, those deserts show. It shows thriving civilizations. It shows wisdom beyond which can be matched today. Like I said, step back. Look from your third eye. Understand that slavery happens on two fronts. You need two fronts. You need one to be the enslaver, and you need one to be the slaves. But yet, throughout mankind's existence, these laws and ways of being have flipped and went here and there and there and there and this, and it's like a wheel. Everybody gets their turn on top one, every so many thousands of years. Every so many thousands of years, it's my turn to be on top. Or I killed enough for y'all, I'm the king of the hill now. Or I tricked you into doing this because you wanted that. We're constipated with these laws that only go by what you can see with your physical eyes, what you can hear. And we're aware of universal laws, but we try to use them to generate wealth and to generate the slavery and keep the slavery going, keep things unbalanced, which means to keep chaos in place, which means you're constipated because you're too full. You can't ingest anything else. You can't digest anything else. And what you have is not nourishing you, it's killing you. And then we get to this generation that we're in right now. And this generation is saying, this isn't working. And there's no other place to go with this. We went everywhere that we can went with this. Man cannot rule man. Man cannot govern man. Greedy men are always going to take control. They are always going to need slaves to do things for them. Con men are always going to need marks to get over. And if they're not getting over, they devalue themselves. And that makes them hate everybody else even more. We're constipated with the bullshit, beloveds. And it really needs to be flushed. It needs to be let go of. We need times of detoxing together. We need to just intimately agree to a a week or a month of just cleansing ourselves. I'm not talking about pushing yourself with any exercise. I'm not talking about buying something that's going to break you, buying some prune juice. You can find it at any market. Castor oil and cod liver oil, you should be able to find it at any co-op or health food store. You may even find it in Walgreens and Walmart right now. And you can buy a little cayenne pepper. That's not going to mess you up no kind of way. And start cleansing your insides. And I say this as I begin to come out of my depression, which has been over the past, I'd say 5 years. I was saying 3, now I'm saying 5 because time is just whoop, 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 did whatever it was doing, and I am where I am now. But I'm realizing that whatever that was, I have healed from it now. And I can say that because I can go there mentally and it don't mess with me. It doesn't sadden me to the point where I just want to turn over and cover up and say, go away, world, leave me alone. Not that I don't have moments like that, because I do, being an empath, I'm going to always have those moments. But the need to do it is much less. It's like an addiction. The desire will always be there to abuse whatever drug of choice you had. But the will not to is stronger. And you have more respect for that will. You identify more with that will than that little tiny one that says, please, 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 please. No. No. We don't need to cope like that. We don't need that to make us feel better. That's temporary, whatever it is, and it's going to cost us in more ways than what we're willing to pay for. So we're not going there with that. Whatever it is. Clean yourself out of these desires. Get them out of you. Get it out. Flush it. Get yourself open enough where life can exist within you and expand. Life needs to expand. It can expand if you're already filled to the brim with stuff that ain't got nowhere to go. With stuff that you don't want to let go, can't let go of, don't know how to let go of. And some of this you've been carrying all your life, like I said. Inside of your colon, there's still fecal matter from when you were an infant. So I want you to understand there's still emotional stuff. Emotional, mental, physical things that you have absorbed within your body that are still there, energies that are still there, that need purging, that need conscious intention, intent, conscious awareness of your intentions to release it. So you need to focus on letting go. You need to put your awareness on letting go of what has been holding you, enslaving you. And you'll find that this ripples out in so many ways, beloveds. Once you start to this detoxing program, this detoxing process, you'll see you'll see it blossoming and blooming in so many different ways. And just keep yourself aligned and attuned with the understanding that emptiness is truly what you have been craving. That it's not the clothes, that it's not the man or relationship. It's not this to make you feel whole. It's not that to make you feel whole. It's not this because you don't have an education or that or this or that. It's none of those things. When you incarnated, you were empty. That's what you're craving. That emptiness before all of man's laws, conditions, and visions and principles and crap got forced into you and embedded itself and got like tar got smeared in the fabric of your being. And you can't breathe now. And everywhere you look, you see other people, other human beings and animals and the planet itself. And you identify with that constipation. You identify with the sluggishness. You identify with the vitriol of wanting change. The vitriol of having an enemy to blame it all on. But then you realize the person that you see as your enemy, the one that you're blaming all of this on, they were conditioned too. They were just conditioned to the opposing side that you're on. And so they were taught they're your mirror. What you hate, they love. What you love, they hate. And all the while, you're so busy looking at the things that you hate about each other, you don't see that you're both full of old shit, old ideas. This new generation is saying, not us. These indigo babies and these rainbow crystal babies, these new children, these homo noetics, these ones whose conscious awareness is at an upgraded incarnation. They're the new models of humanity. Just like you had the the Neolithic and the cavemen and the paleo this and the this and the that. We are becoming the cavemen. Our ways, our tools will no longer be used. Our ways and our tools are no longer modern. They're antiquated. And being that there is nothing new under the sun, like I said, a lot of these different um, older civilizations that are rising and being dug up and being found and are going to be um, revealed because land masses and land shapes and climate changing and all these other things are going back into the mix. And like I said, the earth is constipated with us, and she is going to release like she has done all the other times. And there are always survivors, but there are always those who knew, who told what they knew. And there are always those that you're crazy. Beloveds, you have to decide for yourself where you stand, how you stand, and what you stand as. Do you stand as a being divided within itself, dualistic in nature? Well, one minute I feel this, and the next minute I think that, and I don't really know myself, and I don't really like myself, and I don't trust you, and I don't know this, and I don't. Or are you, I am existence. I am everything and I am nothing. And I am expanding in my current conscious awareness from where I am in this now moment, based upon past, present, and future. Based upon my conscious awareness that I have the ability to affect and to influence everything from a place of emptiness. And from that place of emptiness, I can receive higher frequencies that will allow healing to take place throughout the different layers, throughout the different time frames, throughout the different multidimensional aspects of myself that are all converging upon this moment right now. So, again, beloveds, like I said, there is a lot. There's a lot that has come forth through this. Like I said, I didn't write it down, and maybe I will after this. We'll see. But I needed to release this. The other thing is, and this will be the last thing, the song Imagine. Imagine all the people You may think I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. One day you'll join me and we'll live as one. I want you to understand. I want you to understand. I want you to know. I want you to know. We are programmed. We are conditioned. We are seeded. We are sown. We are reaped and we are harvested by the images that we have within ourselves, that we allow within ourselves, that we allow the images, imagination, the image of nations. That goes back to the pen and the sword. Which one is the mightier? What is written within you, or what has been written outside of you? What has been written outside of you is history. What is written inside of you is the mystery, because you haven't allowed it to unfold in the way that it needs to, because you are so sold, bought and sold on the images of an imagination that gave birth to duality, that gave birth to the lesser version of yourself, that gave birth to man's laws, that gave birth to man's ideologies, religions, science, that leads you to believe that your value is based upon what someone else thinks of you, or what they see, or what they hear, or what they think they know about you. And you give that more value than what you know to be your own truth, to be your own worth, to be your own value, to be your own way of being. But it has been called weird. It has been called heretical. It has been called pagan. It has been called blasphemous. It has been called crazy. It has been called all these things by the thoughts and conditioning of people with swords, who came in and took your way from you. They took your language. They took your way of dressing. They took your spirituality. They took your practices. They took your way of cooking. And they put theirs in place of it, or they blended yours with theirs. But they told you that yours still wasn't SHIT, and that theirs was better. And we have allowed that kind of imaging and re-imaging to reimagine our way of knowing who we are. We know ourselves as children of slaves. We know ourselves as sinners. We know ourselves as less than. We know ourselves all this negativity, but not one of us knows ourselves empty of all of man's isms, conditions, realities, laws, comparisons, duality. Not one of us says, I am a blank canvas. None of that sticks on me. None of that colors, none of that paints my canvas. None of that creates anything within me, nor does it elicit any feeling or sympathy or elicit some feeling of hate or that doesn't resonate with me. And that's because we are so full of everybody else's opinion, of everybody else's predispositions, of everybody else's images of what beauty is, of what makes a woman, of what makes a man, of what makes God, God. How many of us actually think for ourselves or are aware of what is our own conscious awareness that didn't come from somebody else's thought, that we have original thoughts, that we are original, unique beings, and we have no desire to be like the herd or to blend into the herd or to follow the herd mentality. That it's okay, I can be by myself till the day I stop breathing and I still be good because I'm content and at peace with myself. I'm empty. I'm not holding on to all of the programmed notions of what coulda, woulda, shoulda. Knowing, denying that I'm denying myself because I am the master of my own universe. I manifest from my will. I'm able to do that. I'm original. I can have unique thoughts. I can give birth to new thoughts. I can create and manifest. I can will, oh, I wish this would get published. Or I wish I could see that in a movie and write it down, and the next thing you know, you hear it on the radio. Or you see it on the moving pictures. Or you see it in Wikipedia with all these awards. Or you see it being criticized. Or you write something and you say, oh, well, okay, you gave all of that. Let me see if I can do something that's not so good and see how you do that since you want to do all of this universe. And bam, like a dark phoenix, you put not all of yourself into it. And you see, oh, well, this dragged and that this, and we are constipated with denial of what we are truly capable of. But we're getting there, beloveds. Baby steps, baby steps. We are confirming to our own sense of awareness that it is truly us, individually and collectively, creating change, giving birth to change, conceiving change, understanding from a deeper place of knowing that I am more than the programming that I've been given. I can see more than just the images that are present and available for most. I can connect dots that some are not even consciously aware even exist. And the purpose of all of this, my pain, my suffering, my constipation, my fullness, my emptiness, and the spectrum between the two, is so that I can know that it's me. It's me. It's me. And in the knowing that it's me, and in the moving forward, and knowing that this is coming from a place of maturity now, that it has a greater responsibility now, and that it's not just you alone who suffers. You have to be aware of all. Not only yourself, your children, but your neighbor, your dog, the insects, the planet, outer space, everything is you. There is nothing that is not you. And in knowing that and confirming that within yourself, there is a lot of shit that has to be flushed and let go of now that you can actually sit here and say, I know this about myself. Not I think this, or not I read this, or not I thought that, but I know this with certainty, beyond doubt and beyond human reasoning, because I observe it and I've witnessed it too many times now. And so, beloveds, it comes to a point where blood of my blood is about the purification of humanity. And that purification It's not based upon racial context. It's not based upon the amount of melanin. It's not based upon alchemical properties. It's not based upon hormones. It's not based upon gender. Blood of my blood is based upon the wisdom of creation, the universe, universal laws. And universal laws has to take precedent over human laws. Right now, we're being subjugated and enslaved to the law of duality. And we have become so indoctrinated that we are imbalanced because we've given more consideration and conscious awareness to the sword as a way of being, as a way of surviving, as a way of knowing ourselves. The outside of us than we have to what is within us. It's what has always been within us. That which made ancient civilizations great before the swords. And we have to give birth to this way of being again. And that means we have to empty ourselves of the knowing of the sword, the way of the sword. We have to beat those swords, those tools of division, separation, into plowshares. And we have to do it as a collective because it won't work any other way. It won't work. It has to be, all the images has to be one. Conscious awareness. That village raises the child. Also knowing that that child, those children, will raise that village. They will uplift it by what they're taught, or they will destroy it by what they've been taught. Okay, beloveds, that is going to be it. And like I said, it's been a while since I did a video, and if this one has been a little draggy, I apologize. Like I said, I'll try to put my thoughts on paper a little bit better next time, and they'll be a little bit more polished and coherent, and won't be so raw, so raw and so rudimentary and so full of bullshit, so to speak. They'll be more pristine. But I hope you get what you need out of this. I hope it is very gleanable. There are all kind of juicy tidbits and nuggets and gems dispersed throughout. I did feel them as they were being birthed, so to speak, um, into this video. So there are a few good things in here. They just have to be mined and looked for, and with patience and revelation, they'll speak to you the way they have been for me, speaking to me. And that is going to be it. Thank you, beloveds. Namaste. Be love and be blessed. Love unconditionally. Love unconditionally. Love unconditionally. With conscious awareness. I hope, beloveds,